said they knew something about Gary, and basically if she didn't like blow the case, they would expose him. Hey, some friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm symptomistic, like optimistic, but make it sense. And I'm so glad to be back here with Barbie Legacy Challenge. And we are on a cute little date night with Chloe and Gary. You know, things seem to be at a pace where they can actually take a date night and celebrate. I can't remember if this was their anniversary or if this was like Valentine's Day. And this build, of course, I got it from the gallery, like where I get all my builds. Let me know. I will link you in the comments. But yeah, they are here at this nice little New Crest restaurant, very modern, very sleek. And they are getting a table tucked away. Gary's already sitting there, waiting, ready. And flirty. He's like in a good mood, so that's great. And I really love the views from this restaurant, like just sitting there, even though it's like people could walk up, but the Sims don't, because I guess because they have the hedges there, so no people walking up on the restaurant. That was very strategic of this designer, but they have views of the park and of the mansions, and it's just really a great catch up for this couple that they've been together a long time. They got a babysitter for the kids, and they're both in a great mood. And so we are just gonna have a quick little date night. So after finishing off a bottle by themselves, they snuck off to the restroom for a little woohoo time. So sparks still flying. Now it is some time later, and as you know from last episode, Chloe has graduated from getting her law degree, and so now she is ready to start her career as a private attorney. Chloe has had very whatever. She's had a lot of successful careers. She's been like an angel investor. She's worked her way up through the investment industry, bought her own condo, and then she's very tied to politics. And so because of that tie to politics, she actually had an issue in court where this person essentially tried to blackmail her, said they knew something about Gary, and basically if she didn't like blow the case, they would expose him. And Chloe decided to obviously not risk Gary's exposure because that could mess up their whole family, where they live. That could really mess up everything. But Chloe was really disappointed to hear that, especially so like being so excited to start her career as an attorney. She was not expecting anything like that. Uh basically the tea was that Gary was like sneaking around. That was the tea. And she just, one, was disappointing to hear that because her and Gary seemed like they're in a good place, and she just really didn't want to rock the boat at all. So yeah, she decided to quit being an attorney. In that way, she decided to quit the firm and quit litigation, essentially. So she'll still be an attorney, but she won't be going to court or anything like that. It was a hard decision, but I think with her kids being young, as you can see in the picture, they're both very young. She just felt like it was too much. She never said anything to Gary about it. She, again, didn't want to rock the boat and decided to start her own business, which essentially is like a law office where people can come for advice, but it also functions kind of like a wee workspace, which she calls the dollhouse. I was very excited with that pun, not gonna lie. And people can also come and do homework and stuff like that, but it is a library that used to exist and kind of was not well funded. Thanks, Gary. I guess Gary doesn't care about the children having libraries. Not my favorite politician, but he it is what it is. And yeah, so that a lot has changed for Chloe. And in the meantime, Dionne has aged up. Dionne is Generation 3. I want to remind you of that. So as I mentioned last episode, we are moving away from Generation 2 and slowly easing into Generation 3. Generation 2, we've completed everything. So money, everything. She's done everything she needs to do. I love this screenshot because it's the only time we have Gary Jr. and Dionne at this same age, and they're both, well, same age as children. He's obviously still older, but I just thought it was so cute. They look alike more than like I guess I would have thought. But yeah, they definitely look alike. But now it's time to go with Chloe to her new business. So yeah, I get that Generation 2 is mostly complete, but I still like to storytell, and this is how I make sure the game is not boring and I don't get bored with these challenges because I'd be so tempted to quit a challenge. So tempted. Like they always seem so exciting in the beginning, and I always have plans for like Generation 7, and then I don't even make it to Generation 7, but we're gonna keep hope alive. And yeah, this is the venue. I tweaked it a little bit. It was a library. I made an office for Chloe here. I kind of like changed some colors. So yeah, like this wasn't pink. I added some blue coloring for like the left side where there are some desks that people can work. The restroom, I think I kept the same. The floor, I kept the same. Then we have like this classroom side, which I think was just computers. I can't really remember, but I tweaked that a little bit. She has that board where she can give classes on law and entrepreneurial things. And yeah, this is her first customer. You come in with the purple boots. I guess maybe it's gonna rain later. Maybe he was fishing. I don't know. But yeah, this is her first customer. Oh, there's also a children's area because this is a family, Copperdale's a family place, and maybe you want to come in with your kids and get some help, and they can play downstairs while you get help upstairs. And people are just looking around, browsing. It's the first day the business is open, and I was really obviously excited to play with business and hobbies. And I thought with that disappointing news that Chloe got while she was in court, that this would just be like a great opportunity for her. Not suggestive, look, this is not the time, but yeah, I thought that this would be a great pivot for her. I think it fits because she was an investor, she was in business, and Gary has political pull, making it easy for her to get permitting for businesses and things like that. So I felt like this totally made sense for her. It just is a little disappointing because she literally just started that law career and he needs pants. And yeah, it's not over, but it just didn't go how she thought it would go. She thought she would essentially climb to the top like she did with her first career. And then maybe she would do something different. But this came first. And so we wish Chloe the best. It looks like a lot of people are sticking around and talking to Chloe. It's very casual, but she's talking about business and they're paying to stick around. So that is great, and she's getting more customers in. So I feel like this is working pretty well. I think eventually she's gonna need to get some staff, and maybe they can help with that at some point. But it's very early. This is the first day, so I feel like just her kind of getting the lay of the land with the business is great. And I want to talk about Adventure Awaits, even though, listen, I'm gonna pray that I get this video up before Adventure Awaits comes out. I'm pretty excited. I mean, I think I was more excited for businesses and hobbies, uh, but I'm definitely more excited about this than I was for nature. What is it? Nature? I don't know. Nature, whatever. Back to nature. Nature Awaits. I still haven't purchased that because I've been really afraid of the ailments just taking over the game too much. I actually think the nature, Enchanted by Nature, that's what it's called. I actually think that the world looks gorgeous, and I probably am more excited for that world. But I think because I'm not gonna really play as a fairy, and I don't want the ailments to take over my game. I haven't purchased it. I'll have to be keep looking at people's games and see if like the updates they made to it make sense. For my gameplay, I did kind of think about Generation 4 for Barbie because she will be, I can't remember what she is, but I think she's like mermaid Barbie essentially. She's not a mermaid. You don't have to be a mermaid, but she's like ocean E, and she'll probably live in Sulani. Not really surprising. Um, and I was thinking that could be like a cute career that kind of fits that vibe, or a cute like side hustle that fits that vibe. But yeah, I don't want to have my Sims constantly getting sick to the point where it's like this is not allowing me to control my storyline enough. So we'll see. I'll keep watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think if you have Enchanted by Nature. But yeah, back to Adventure Awaits. The world, I'm not really that excited about. It's cute. Maybe once people start getting early access, I'll see. But from, I think as of now, the gameplay trailer has come up, so that's pretty much it until everybody gets early access. So once people get early access, I will see a little bit about it and if the world gets more interesting. But I do like the ideas that we will essentially have hotels. I've never played like the Bachelorette or any kind of love competition on The Sims because it seemed like a real headache to create. So maybe I will do that if I get that. Kids going to camp, thought that was cute. Imaginary friends, on the fence about them. I like the idea of them, but like them turning into real. Like when we get into the magical realism of it, you lose me a little bit. You lose me a little bit in my gameplay. So we'll see. I'm curious if all the imaginary friends will always look like the same person, if you turn them into a real person, or they'll turn into different people. That'll be interesting. Like, I do think it's an interesting concept that like a kid will have an imaginary friend, and maybe nobody will know that that used to be like an imaginary friend and that the kid made them real. I wonder how that's gonna play out. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Adventure Awaits. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm curious. I That'll be something I probably will purchase. Um, Even before it goes on sale, I think. Unless there's something crazy in it, like Enchanted by Nature, where I'm like, oh, this is gonna mess up every game, every save. But it doesn't look like it. Cooking competitions, don't think I will do that. Maybe. I don't know. You could do like a chef school. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. I really need to see more people do different things. Business and hobbies was very obvious to me, like what you could have The Sims do. This seems a little more complex. And I also wonder how business and hobbies will interact with Adventure Awaits UI. Like, how you gonna make money? And that pretty much took us through the day of Dollhouse, and we made a little money. That I feel like this is not a bad amount of money for our first day, and so I felt like we definitely can make some more as I get more practice with this. But this is definitely not that different than what she was making just starting out as a private attorney. And I do like how it tells you the areas to improve and the areas that she's doing great. So obviously she's doing great with customer service. We're not changing the pricing. The price is the price. Like, we're not changing the pricing. So there's gonna have to get over that. She has moved up a little bit in her business acumen, or whatever that little UI symbols. But it's now time to get home because kids should be home soon. I think the husband should be home from work soon. And yeah, now we are at another day. I think, what is this? I don't remember what I was doing here, to be honest. As I mentioned in my other videos, this is me like catching up with past footage. Like, I'm way further in the gameplay than this. I know the whole family's here. That girl with the short little haircut, that is Nikki. That is Chloe's twin sister. Uh, and this little boy is adopted. Chloe's mom, Barbie, adopted him late in life. Unfortunately, she passed, and so now Nikki is raising him. That is Gary Jr., who is now aged up to a teen with a little twist. But I think we are at the park for maybe Dionne's birthday. I don't remember. Maybe I just went to come to the park and have the family out. it was a cute park. So yeah, Dionne is right there with the we'll see. We'll show you Dionne in a little bit. But I think I'm gonna have her swing with her brother. Her brother's gonna push her. It's a really nice day out. So I think I just wanted the Sims to enjoy summer and kind of get out. I know Gary doesn't like to be out too much because people always see him and his family. See, he's already talking to the paparazzi, like, can you please lay off? And the paparazzi's like, oh, got another picture. Uh, Somebody's attracted to somebody. I don't know who he's attracted to, but yeah, the park with the public is a little unpredictable. So they don't always, they don't always do this. They're a known family in Copperdale. But I think, Dionne deserves to experience the outdoors a little more. Oh, that's why we can't see Dionne. She's up in this little telescope thing. I think Chloe's dream for Dionne was to always kind of give her things that she didn't get as a child. They didn't often go places, they didn't have any money. And now, unfortunately, because of what Gary does for a living, they don't often go places. So she didn't really get to fulfill that, like, give her kids, Gary Jr. and Dionne what she didn't have completely a little bit. They're very comfortable. They have what they need financially. They can wear what they want, participate in school activities, but as far as like being out and about, it's still tricky. So I think Chloe is working to fix that a little more, especially with the change in career, being able to kind of like work when she wants, especially because Gary makes a good living. She has good investments from when she was an angel investor. So she's trying to exercise that freedom a little bit. And here's a cute shot of Gary Jr. and Gary playing football together. I think they have a pretty close relationship. I do think that Gary is hard on Gary Jr. a little bit because he has a path laid out for him. Like, he's like, you're going to go do football, you're going to make a lot of money playing football, and then you're going to go off and have a career in business, be a doctor, or be a politician. Those are the three options for Gary Jr. So I think Gary Jr. admires his dad, and so at this moment doesn't really feel like he's pushing back, but the pressure does get to be a lot. We can finally move on to what I wanted to show, which is Gary Jr. and Dionne bonding. They're going to play on the swings. I think Gary Jr. is a great big brother to Dionne. He's very sweet. He's very caring. One thing I do kind of like about playing the game this way, or like recording just the footage and then doing voiceover and being so much further ahead in my game, I kind of can like remember things that happened before. So I can like remember that Dionne and Gary Jr. are close, even though now they're much older in my game, and kind of see like how that plays out. Maybe they're not close anymore, but maybe they are and they always will be. Get these random kids out of here. But yeah, I really am kind of enjoying this, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be interesting when I catch up. But listen, the way work has been going, I don't know if I will ever catch up or I will always be behind on footage. But that's neither here nor there. And then again, I was really thinking a lot about how Chloe really wanted to get her daughter outdoors. And I think now that Dionne, it's interesting because she didn't think about this much with Gary Jr., right? Like, Gary Jr. was, it just was what it was, as far as like him being a little sheltered because Gary had this career. But I think because this is her daughter and she sees herself in her daughter a lot, and she really is like, oh, I want Dionne to have certain experiences. And so they are at the pool, a local pool. And I think because it's Chloe and Dionne and not the whole family and not Gary Jr., so I think we can avoid the paparazzi a little bit. Uh, and this pool is gorgeous. I found this on the gallery, and I was like looking for something that seemed like it was like in a downtown. Is this downtown? I don't know. Town center, Main Street of a place that it didn't seem like too, I don't know. I wanted it to seem very like you could walk to this pool. And I found this pool. I don't even think this person intended to make it for Copperdale, but it fits wonderfully. What is she talking about? Yeah, we don't need to worry about that. That was Barbie's friend. And her and Chloe aren't very close. But this pool is great. It has a hot tub, has an indoor pool, which I think is perfect because it gets cold in Copperdale. So they could go to this pool when it gets cold. It's small, but I think that's fine. And so Chloe and Dionne are just having some great mother-daughter time, and you know, she's teaching her about life and things that, hopefully will help her later on in life. And now, after swimming for a little bit, they are just sitting here right outside of, I think this was just like in game. This isn't like a build or anything, but like a few, maybe a block or two over from the pool. And I just thought this was a sweet moment. This was a really sweet day. It honestly reminded me of my mom and I when I was little. Just, free pool, affordable, fun. And it's nice to see that Chloe's doing that for her daughter, even though they could take her to some fancy place. They want her to have regular kid fun and be a normal kid. And I do really think that'll affect Dionne's outlook as she gets older, and the things she wants in life and the things that she values, and what she thinks about different class and different, people that make different amounts of money. We're back home and Gary is on the grill, which they never really use this grill, but I guess this was my end of summer mood, which is perfect because that's around where we are today in real life, or at least in the US. We're gearing up for end of summer. And so, how nice is it to come home after the pool? I mean, they already had sandwiches, but they did stick around and take some pictures. I didn't show that. So, maybe, Dionne and well, it looks like actually Chloe went to sleep. Chloe was like, I'm tired with this little girl all day. But maybe Dionne will eat and Gary Jr., maybe he'll be hungry. But this episode turned out to be a lot sweeter than I initially thought it would be. I know a lot of episodes have been more chaotic. Trust me, the chaos is coming back. But this was a very family friendly episode. Chloe and Gary, they had their alone time in the beginning of the episode. Yeah, she's down for the nap. They had their alone time. Dionne and Chloe had mother-daughter time. Gary and Gary Jr. played football together. They hung out with extended family. This was a really sweet episode. And I really thank you guys for sticking with me through all the breaks as well. I am trying to have Dionne keep up with her friends, so I have her doing some texting. And I think the last thing I'll do in this episode, oh, we had another business day. Yeah. And we made even more money and we upped our business acumen, which is great. And I think we'll have Dionne officially register this business or whatever you call it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I'm symptomistic, like optimistic, but make it sense. Talk to you later, some friends. Bye.